Learning Curve with Bharat Agarwal.
Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Season 2 of the Learning Club with me, Bharat Agarwal. My guest today is Mr. Siddharth Desai, the Joint Managing Director of Kishore Pumps, a graduate from Stanford University and the alumnus of VIT Pune. He is also the co-chair of the National Water Council and works with the Government of India on various water initiatives. Siddharth, welcome to the episode.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
To start off with, Siddharth, very curious to know, you are a pass out of 2006 VIT. How has been the journey after that?
Thank you, Bharatji, for this invitation and pleasure to be here. So, after 2006, I immediately pursued my master's in environmental engineering in the US. I planned to work there for a while, but I got an opportunity to pursue a quick short certificate course in finance at Harvard University. So I completed that and immediately moved to Singapore, where I had an opportunity to work with a German solar PV firm then. This was beginning 2008, and solar PV was a very new sunrise industry, so to say, then. So it was a good opportunity and a good experience I got to learn about renewable energy at a whole, how the solar PV market was evolving. I worked there for about 1.5 years, and then after that I moved back to India and started working with my family business then.
So, just to take a clear on that, how was the experience working out of India in Singapore and you being, I would say, exposed to family business, I'm sure, in your early childhood days also. How was it worth it for someone else?
When I started working in Singapore, it was a very cultural it was a cultural shift in terms of how we interact with each other, how we work along. During my bachelor's in India, when I was pursuing my bachelor's at VIT, I used to attend office in the family business now and then, and did some small stints and internships here and there. But when I went there, I knew that people were looking at me as the boss's son. So, there was a different type of interaction that I had. But when I moved to Singapore, I was one amongst the many, and that taught me a lot, of course. Singapore being the kind of cosmopolitan city that it is, it also helped me gain a perspective from different cultures from across the world.
Siddharth, water conservation is a very, very unique thought, I would say. Right from our childhood days, we have been talking about water conservation. In today's age, we still talk about it. Would love to understand how did you get into this area, and what has been the experience and learning so far from it?
You're right. The water conservation activities are not new. They have been there for a while. My involvement in the water conservation space is both by design as well as, to some extent, I would say, as an accident. When I was growing up, and especially during college time, one of the sectors that our family business operates in, is in water management, or particularly wastewater management. By design, I would say that when my father asked me to visit all these trade fairs and exhibitions and technical expos, he did mention to me that in the next 20-30 years, water is going to be a big concern, both for industry as well as for the society. So look at options, look at technologies that can help India and the society at large going forward. But while doing that, I stumbled upon a lot of other issues and other areas of work not related to technology or business that gave me a direction in terms of the holistic approach that needs to be taken from a water management perspective, moving towards a water security perspective. When we talk about water conservation, it's about using less water. But when we talk about water security, it is more of a holistic approach when we talk about not just water availability, but also the quality. And more importantly, day by day, as we were talking earlier, in terms of the climate resilience. Because with increased climate uncertainty, we are seeing floods every year, which I barely used to remember any flooding scenarios in the past. Now floods have become more common every year, and we need to think about how our water management practices need to be adopted to handle these kind of situations as well. So when we talk about water security, it is about water quality, water access, water affordability, as well as the climate resilience around water sources.
Just taking this as ahead, you spoke about a holistic view about water management. What do you think at a family level or a household level we are looking at water management, or are we using it well, or we are still in a mismanagement zone, or we do not care about it?
So it's a very good question, and it's very city specific, I would say. And there are a lot of interventions we can have at a family level, at a household level. What can be done? To put it in perspective, I would say Pune as a city, since we are in Pune, Pune is not a water scarce city. We have sufficient resources for water supply to satisfy the current population as well as the projected population in the next 20 to 30 years. The problem we have is that we are not managing those resources correctly. So coming to the comparison between Pune and Singapore, it's very interesting data points that we have. So Pune is around 55 to 60 lakh people. When I say Pune, Pune Municipal Corporation, 5.5 to 6 million people. Singapore is also around 5.5, 6 million people, including the expats and everything. The economy of Pune, if you see the per capita GDP, we are around 8.5 to 9,000 USD per capita. Singapore, as I mentioned earlier, is about 80,000, so about 9.5, 10 times of Pune. Despite being 10 times richer, the water consumption is almost 20 to 25% lower than Pune. Again, to put it in perspective, the World Health Organization mandates per capita water consumption of about 150 liters per person per day to be in a for basic requirements, consumptive, non-consumptive, both. Pune is upwards of 200, and Singapore in 2024 they have measured it about 141. Below the World Health Organization, despite being so rich and so economically developed. And their target is to get to 135 by 2030, and I think they're well on track on that. So this myth that as you become affluent, your resource consumption is bound to go up, that myth is completely broken down when you see the case study and the numbers from Singapore. So it's a management issue that we need to look at. So coming to the question that you asked about what at a family level, what can be done? So there are a number of interventions that can be done. First of all, we can have what is called low flow fittings to our taps, showers everywhere. Typically, that can get down your water consumption by from the faucets by around 50 to 60% substantially, and they are not very expensive. You can get a set of 5 aerator nozzles that you put on your tap for 100 rupees on Amazon or Flipkart. So it's quite inexpensive that way. The second is, like it or not, most of us are now using RO systems in our homes. Wherever RO systems are being used, we see that depending on the water source, almost 50 to 70% of the water that you get for drinking, equivalent amount of that is rejected from the RO system. So that can be collected in a very simple balti or a bucket. You don't need any fancy contraption for that. You can collect it in a bucket and use it for floor mopping or bathroom washing. In some cases, maybe gardening. And by all these measures, you can reduce your water consumption at a household level to a lot extent. And this is something that you don't need to wait for any corporation or any government to tell you or impose any kind of policies or incentives for that. This is something that you can do at your own level.
With our own consciousness.
Correct.
Siddharth, I also know that you are associated with the national mission to Clean Ganga by the Ministry of Jal Shakti. Now, Ganga is holy to all of us. What have been your experiences and impressions of working on this project?
So you're right. The river Ganga has a spiritual association with all of us, and we need to look at the economic implications and the societal implications embedded in this unitary entity. So almost 600 million people are directly or indirectly dependent on the flow of the Ganga river in India. This is only India. If you add Bangladesh, it's even more. Almost, I would say, 20 to 25% of the rice and wheat cultivation also happens because of the irrigation from the Ganga basin. The approach that the government has now taken in the last, I would say, 10 years, after a deep thought and review of what has been happening in the last 20 years, is that now they have moved to a basin approach. We look at the entire basin level. Now, if you look at the entire basin, you'd be surprised to know that the basin extends up to Indore.
Well, I never knew.
Yeah. So Ganga is the largest area-wise. Ganga is the largest river basin in India, because part of Indore district falls in the Ganga basin, part of it falls in Narmada basin. So they have developed a framework, what is called as Samartha Ganga framework, which is looking at river as a living ecosystem and not just a source of water, but a living ecosystem that provides health and well-being and economic support to the communities living around. So there are 5 pillars to this Samartha Ganga framework. One is what is called as Aviril Dhara, that is pure. Second is Nirmal. Aviril is continuous flow, Nirmal is pure Dhara. Third is Artha Ganga or Artha Dhara, that is, there has to be an economic aspect associated with that river. So valuing the economic aspect of the river. Fourth is Loka Ganga or Loka Dhara, that is people's connect. You have to do a lot of interventions to increase the people's connect for feeling closeness to the river, because something that you feel close to, you respect that and then you don't dirty it as much. So Loka Ganga. And the fifth is Gyan Ganga or Gyan Dhara, wherein you need the knowledge from the traditional wisdom and the knowledge from our ancestors, how it can be used to rejuvenate and resurrect the Ganga. Looking at the expanse of the river, it's difficult to say when we'll have a clean flow across the river. But having said that, there are certain metrics that the government has initiated in terms of how do we measure the success of this project or not. So one of the metrics that the government of India established is looking at the traditional aquatic life that used to exist in some of the regions of the river, and whether those have returned or not. So the moment we see that that aquatic life has returned, that means we are in the right path.
Wow.
And in some cases now we do see the aquatic or the Gangetic Basin dolphins having returned.
Good to see that.
Yes. So in some places it has happened. A lot of work still needs to be done. It's a massive project, it's a massive exercise going forward. But I think the path in which the government is thinking around in terms of what should be the framework for Clean Ganga and what should be the end goal, I think that is clear, and the speed will differ, but we are moving in the right direction, I would say.
This is so important, Siddharth. I was just going back to my visit to Pungdomira that I visited last year. But for the next generations to come and have the same feelings of spirituality or cleanliness, spirituality and religious feeling towards it, cleanliness is also important for them. Siddharth, great. On one side, of course, water is close to you, as you understand. But I also know that you are a founder and also a organizer of the Pune Public Policy Forum. Have I said it right?
Well, yes, it's Pune Public Policy Festival, but it effectively has become a forum, yes.
So, and again, what has been the experience around it?
So we just concluded the 3rd edition of the Pune Public Policy Festival earlier this week. The genesis of this event, I would say, was during COVID lockdown period. Me, along with actually fellow alumni of Vishwakarma Institute of Technology, Sahil Dev, Indranil Chitre, Chinmay, another lawyer, Chinmay Bosle, we were meeting quite often during lockdown. We had nothing to do much during the day. What we observed was, the way we entered the lockdown, the way we came out of the lockdown, or the way we were asked to come out of the lockdown, and the vaccination phase, these three happened in a very narrow period of time. So that got us thinking that there has to be a better way to handle this going forward. So the Pune Public Policy Festival was born out of this idea and this approach that we thought. And the first edition we had in 2024, January 2024. To our surprise, we got tremendous response from all the targeted stakeholders, including a lot of students and more importantly also from the citizens. And we found that it was a good forum wherein there was a very frank discussions and constructive discussions between the citizens and the legislators or the politicians which was direly needed.
So, Siddharth, I'm well aware that apart from engineering, you are also a recipient of the VIT Pune Matrimonial Services. So tell us about your personal life, about your family, and what interests you outside work.
Yeah, you're right. So my wife Amruta, we met in VIT, so we are a part of that membership club in VIT. My wife pursued mechanical engineering. I was in chemical engineering, and she after graduation from VIT, she was in Nashik in Bosch out of campus. She was working there for a couple of years, and then she moved to Pune with Mercedes Benz. And then by this time, I finished my masters and the Singapore stint, and I came back. We got married in 2009, and then she has also been a part of the family business since. So yeah, it has been so we are very thankful and grateful to Vishwakarma Institute of Technology and a part of the membership club as well. I have a daughter, so she'll be turning 10 later this month, and Tanishka. So she will be turning 10 later this month. By the way, my wife, she has been an accomplished Bharatnatyam dancer. She has finished her Arangetram, and my daughter also likes it. So hopefully she'll take it up eventually.
Share some memories of being on campus.
So the most obvious memory, and I'll be, I mean, if my wife sees this and I don't mention it, I'll be in trouble. But it is my seeing my would-be wife then, first time in first year FE welcome program, I remember. And I think that was a very nice initiative by the college then to make the freshers welcome on campus. So I think the first year welcome was, that day has been etched in my memory, and a very nice memory.
So you
I
met
have.
Amrita then?
I saw her then. I saw her then. It took a while before we actually met, but I saw her then. So I think there are many memories going forward. The canteen is very important. Canteen has always been a big memory. And
Any professor you remember?
Of course. So for us, we had Professor M.J. Joshi in chemical engineering. Then our HOD, Dr. Pradhan, he was there. Although he didn't teach me directly, but I have some very high regards for Professor Prabhu.
One of the favorites.
Yeah. And during the third and the final year, we were also involved in the tech fests at college, and a lot of the faculty members also got involved, and they became one of us, I remember. So those are very fond memories. Professor Fakatkar from mechanical engineering was also very active, and he became a student when we were doing these tech fests. So it was wonderful memories then.
Well, Siddharth, thank you so much for being on this episode of this podcast. I would love to have you on campus someday talking to students and sharing your learnings of your after VIT life with them. Compliments to whatever you have achieved. I think your work, especially on community service side when it comes to water, this is the age when we talk about AI, we talk about various initiatives which are forward-looking in terms of technology. I think sometimes they think something basic as good as water, and you are working on that fact is something very important. So compliments to you for doing that, and our best wishes to Kishore Pumps, to you and your entire family for the future life. Thank you once again for being on this.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
The Learning Curve with Bharat Agarwal.